Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, we talk about all things fandom, or we talk about them in a positive way. If that's something that appeals to you, you know you've come to the right place. And this is Something Saturday, where we just talk about something we didn't really get a chance to talk about the rest of the week. And what is today's topic? Well, today's topic, friends, is going to be, where do I think the Halloween movie franchise should go from here? So let's jump right into it. Alright, so we've talked about Halloween ends on this channel before, and this is a non-spoiler video. This is just talking about the future of the franchise and where it could go, and in order to do that, I don't have to ruin the movie, because nothing in the Blumhouse movie would be moving forward to begin with. So let's examine where the series could go. Now, I saw a couple people saying that they would like to see uh, a movie based on Halloween 3. Based on Season of the Witch. Halloween Season of the Witch is one of those films you either absolutely loved it or hated it. A lot of people didn't like it because they thought it would include Michael Myers. And unlike Halloween Ends, it didn't really include Michael Myers. However, it did include one of the actors that played Michael Myers in a cameo as one of the robots in the movie. And then also, it had Jamie Lee Curtis as the voice of the radio announcer in the movie. But that was it. Then we got a quick shot of them actually watching Halloween on a screen in a bar. Now, that's a little bit odd to me that they would choose to separate it from the rest of the franchise, but then I get it, because doing that allows them to explore brand new options, which is what John Carpenter wanted to do. So looking at the idea that they could create a franchise based around that concept with a bunch of movies that aren't connected to the Halloween universe. And then eventually we would probably get a Michael Myers movie again. But how could they do that? What would you do? Well, you probably would start from the beginning. And the beginning is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So doing a reboot of that movie wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Fans would go in a lot more savvy this time, knowing exactly what it is they're getting into. It wouldn't be as surprising to not see Michael Myers in the movie. And I think that would be a good concept, a good starting point. So, in order to do these movies that have nothing to do with Michael Myers, would you continue with this whole franchise based around Season of the Witch? Or could you then spin this off to give new filmmakers and new artists a chance to spin some tale that revolves around Halloween? Now, this has been done since Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, but in a more anthology type of thing. They did this with Trick or Treat. And if you're not aware of the movie Trick or Treat, you really should watch it. It is an absolute brilliant movie, because you have all these stories that are interwoven. It's not the best anthology series of horror stuff I've ever seen, but it is definitely worth watching. And something along the lines of that, but as an entire film, would be pretty interesting to see. So taking it from that regard, I could totally see them doing that. First, you get the reboot of Season of the Witch to kind of set that goal, to kind of show you where we're going. And then the sky's the limit. You bring another group of people in to write another completely different story that has nothing to do with Michael Myers. Now, maybe the joke there is that in every one of the movies, Michael Myers does appear. Either an actor who has played him, or he appears on the TV. And that might be an interesting concept, an Easter egg to throw in on a constant level for the people who want that minor connection to the universe. Now, then you have the concept that I've been hearing a lot popping up. This whole thing that Danielle Harris wants to come back to the franchise and possibly do her own movie. How she sort of has this idea for a movie herself. And I could see that happening, something that would take place after the events of Halloween 5, pretending like the whole Halloween 6 thing didn't happen. And maybe we kind of forget that her character Jamie died, because we don't have to include that in the timeline. It could pick up after the events of the last film Danielle Harris was officially part of. Now, I know that would take out a lot of the explanation and the whole cult thing going on within it, but it would be a very interesting concept to see people bring that in, to bring it from the point we last saw her in it to a brand new point in the movie. Maybe get a fresh take on that. And that might be very interesting in itself. Now, the other concept that you could do is an origin story, going all the way back to Michael Myers being a little kid, or maybe something to do with his parents. Is his family really cursed to be this killer? I actually heard some people suggest that as a sequel or a movie in itself, maybe a whole trilogy of movies. Now, I'm not as excited about that, and I don't think that that one would be a really good concept at all. I'm more in line with the other two concepts as ideas, because bringing in a whole origin story showcasing this before the events kind of takes me back to the way Texas Chainsaw Massacre tried to do this whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre the beginning thing, and to be honest, I never thought it worked. I never thought as a concept it worked. Now, I have watched the movies and they have some enjoyable moments, but I've never thought as an entire concept we needed to know where Leatherface came from. Sometimes the scariest thing is not to know where your villains originate from. So I wanted to kind of talk about these possibilities and what has been thrown out there, and kind of ask you guys what you think. Would you like to see an anthology type of series where Michael Myers no longer matters? Because they could very well do that now that the official trilogy with Laurie Strode is over and everything is done. They could potentially do that. There's no more Laurie Strode, so why does there need to be a Michael Myers? And I like the concept of a series of movies that takes place during Halloween and not just focused on one particular thing. I also like the concept of bringing Michael Myers back in the timeline in which Jamie is the daughter of Laurie Strode. And then we kind of get to see her be the heroine. We get to see her run around, her be the final girl. And say what you want, Danielle Harris is a lot younger than Jamie Lee Curtis is, and doing that allows for a lot more time to play with, especially since Jamie Lee Curtis has never really been one to kind of just embrace the horror franchise. Jamie Lee Curtis has always sort of been that actress. She'll go where the money takes her, and she'll kind of go where she's enjoying whatever it is for the moment. She did a lot of horror movies that cemented her as a scream queen, but someone like Danielle Harris, it legitimately does allow her to continue in a franchise that she seems to enjoy. And if there's one thing that you know about Hollywood, hopefully by watching movies, is if an actor is phoning stuff in, if they don't believe in the concept that they're doing, then they're not going to sell it as good as they can. And Danielle Harris loves horror movies just as much as some of you love horror movies and as much as I do. So basically, she would be all up for doing as many horror movies as she can. As long as you give her a good script and she could be the final girl, who knows, maybe even the killer in some of the movies. But in the Halloween movies, we're more likely going to get to see her be the final girl. Okay, so don't forget to leave us a comment. YouTube likes it and we appreciate hearing from you. Don't forget to share this video with all of your friends so they can be a part of the conversation as well. Make sure you're hitting that like button. It helps the channel and we appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because Miko says we need more subscribers and you don't want to disappoint Miko. And then while you're hitting that subscribe button, make sure you're hitting that notification bell so you don't miss a single video we do. And yes, friends, at the end of the day, fandom is family.